There's a place called a gin mill way down in the slums. There's a place called a gin mill way down in the
back.
slums.
Yes.
We are back on the road again is how it's going. We are getting our legs, spreading our wings.
Cozy, warm afternoon downtown Indy, but an awesome spot here at Indiana City Brewery, and we have the founder, Ray, with us. Ray, what's your last name?
It's Kamstra, Ray Kamstra.
Okay. And I think 2013, I believe, is where you guys started.
Yep,
now, did you start here?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is our one and only location.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Started up in 2013. It was a race weekend, Memorial Day weekend of 2013 was our grand
How
opening.
did you swing this site? I mean, this is an awesome site.
Yeah.
In a big place.
Just I wanted to be in a very unique building, and
Right.
that was quite a challenge. There were a lot of industrial spaces that we could have been in that I looked at all over the city back then. It took quite a while to find this place.
I bet.
It was months and months of looking around at different spaces, but there's a tire shop across the street from us. It's a great building. It's like a plug and play brewery, essentially. It's floor drains, a nice grain loft. It's got, the high power, electricity. It's got the everything that you need to really get a brewery going, a small nano brewery.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I bet.
It was available for lease. And I'm like, that's great. And then the guy wouldn't budge at all on the lease. So we're like,
on the building across the street?
across the street.
Okay.
We're like, okay, well, there's a building for sale across the street that looks amazing. I'm going to contact him and see what's the story on that, see if maybe they'd entertain a lease option,
Right.
Weren't looking to buy anything back then, just really wanted to get started.
Right.
Contacted him, and he's like, I've been trying to sell that thing for years.
Really?
If you want to lease it, I'd be glad to.
He's like,
oh, wow.
Okay, then I'll give you $1.
Yeah, it was rough. I mean, we moved into this building. It had been vacant for about 2 years. It was boarded up, every window, every door boarded up. There was a barbed wire chain link all around the building so that people wouldn't break in, and it was
people squatting in the basement.
Yeah, there was no power. Yeah, we found some stuff down in that cellar. But yeah, there's a.
Did you have to call the cops on anything you found?
We didn't have to call anybody. No, just scratch our heads a lot.
All right, there's no bone. There weren't any bones.
There were a lot of bullet casings down there, but there were also a lot of targets.
Okay.
So
really?
we figured it was probably someone's little makeshift shooting range. But
Which is a little scary
Yeah,
in a brick building, unless you put enough padding, I guess, around. But
They still using targets in that.
well, no, but
Yeah.
I mean, if you miss the target, it's just brick all around this place.
Yeah. I mean, it was.
So it's called ricochet.
It's a good sound chamber, though. We've got drums down there. We used to play down there. We'd be opening in
really?
the tap room. It would be,
Sweet.
drums, bass, down there as loud as we can, and you couldn't hear a sound up here. So I'm sure when they were shooting guns down there, it was pretty quiet as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, we ended up coming in here. It was a total mess. It was inches of dust, no
I bet.
power,
Might have
no
been, yeah.
plumbing, no nothing. So it was kind of cool. It had a lot of great character, and it was a blank canvas to kind of
Right.
work with.
Yeah.
We could just make it whatever we wanted. So we started off with just half of this building. Actually, we weren't occupying the entire thing.
Was it that side? So if you come here, there's kind of a left side where the bar's at, and then
Yeah.
this is your whole.
Yeah, this is our event space.
Event
yeah,
space,
we
yeah.
call it the bottling house, named after the building itself. But,
Yeah, I'm going to get into that one a little bit.
yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of history here.
There
And
is a lot.
Yeah, so I walked into the space with my cousin back then. He was just kind of rolling around with me to look at spaces and get ideas, and we both walked in here and we're like, oh my gosh,
wow.
this place is like, it's got everything you want. The exposed wood beam ceilings, the concrete, exposed brick, just a lot of great character. We didn't know the history of it, that it was used to be a
at the
brewery
time.
back
So
in the
yeah,
day.
that's where I was going to go.
Yeah, but
Eventually.
so when we first opened up in here, we built out a small nano brewery on the far south side of the building, a small tap room. We had 4 taps coming out of the wall, just brewing, like home brewers essentially. Same type of setup, very bare bones, just getting beer on tap and sharing it with people here in Indy. And we shared the other half of the building. There was an antique shop in here. Anyway, they ended up moving out a couple years later, and we took over the whole space and made an event space over here. We've hosted a lot of concerts in here too.
Yeah.
We used to do a lot more bands than we do now. We do a lot of private events these days.
Yep.
So, making good use of the space.
Oh, yeah.
No, it is. It's beautiful. I mean, I know these ones, we've talked to other places who've renovated old buildings or tried to deal with the old buildings, and it's still a chore. It's still a challenge and a chore even to bring it up to the health code standards you need to, but still try to keep the rustic look. You
Yeah.
know, you got to clean it all. You got to like reseal stuff. So,
Yep.
you know, obviously for this building, got to be checking if asbestos was all around. Or
Oh
any
yeah.
asbestos
We had some
abatement had to be.
remediation. There was a little remediation. It was all in the cellar.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was some pipe insulation that had to be dealt with. But
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
And that and that adds to it. That adds the some of the hard startup costs, but
Yeah.
the end
Yeah.
result in some of these is perfectly worth it.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I mean, especially for so this was an old brewery at one point. We'll get in that as well, but it reminds me of kind of the humble beginnings of Journeyman, which was it just kind of reminds me a lot of that space when I first started. The big open spaces and windows you could see out in the back, and
Yeah.
just kind of rustic looking. And then those guys just blew apart. But
Yeah.
that it reminds me of that just that home kind of very homey space. Even though it's huge, it's very homey.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
you get that throughout the place. And I love the open woodwork and it's
Yeah,
amazing.
this time of year too, when we can throw open the garage doors
Yeah,
and you
yep.
know have all those overhead doors open, get the fresh air vibe going. It's
Oh
fun.
yeah. No, it's a beautiful space.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And then you have a tie-in with a lot of artists, I think, too. You know,
Yeah.
like I said, as a show space and featuring work, and the outside of the building's great. And it's the neighborhood is, I mean, it's this is the old Irish.
This
This
was
old
the-
Irish Hill
Yeah, it's
neighborhood.
the Irish Hill neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah, this was all home to the Irish immigrants that
Yep.
quite literally built the city.
Mm,
So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, a lot of Irish history here, a lot of German history in this neighborhood
Right.
too. So, yeah.
So
Go ahead.
no, go ahead. No. Yeah.
I would just kind of it's humble beginnings, talking about the beginnings of the place. But yourself, you were home brewers as most of these guys start out. But did you have some of your staples that you brought with you that were the big ones that started the place?
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of recipes when I was home brewing. The ones that I won the most home brewing competitions with, definitely Yacht Rock was one that we opened up with. Shadow Boxer's another one that I brewed in the summertime because you couldn't get a good stout in the winter.
Right.
I felt like a lot, so
Right.
I would, for some reason in the summer heat, a stout sounds good to me. So
You are
we're on the
complete-
same page.
Well,
yeah.
we are. Most
Yeah.
people not.
yeah,
But yes.
so I would definitely brew my own stout, and that's what became Shadow Boxer, an oatmeal
Nice.
stout.
Yep.
One of our most popular beers, Mimi's Tabernacle, is actually Mimi's back then is what we called it. That was a breakfast stout that I brewed with a buddy
Nice.
for his birthday. So a lot of old recipes from the home brewing
Right.
days with stories and stuff have been resurrected here over the years. But yeah, we started off with a pale ale, a stout, and a West Coast IPA, and our wheat ale, and that's all we did in the beginning.
When
Just
did you start? When do you kind of when
Homebrewing?
did? Yeah.
2009.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's so yeah.
Oh,
you're
so only a couple years before
yeah,
you
you're
opened.
still
Yeah,
fairly
that's-
young. Yeah. You're
Yeah.
still fairly
What
Yeah,
got
so-
you into that? Just what?
It's interesting. So, I was living in Chicago, living and working in Chicago for about 8 years, I guess. So I was living in Lincoln Square neighborhood in Chicago when Half Acre Brewing opened up, which was
Gotcha.
somewhere around maybe 2006, 2007, I don't know, somewhere around then. And just talking to those guys when they were super small and getting to know that they were home brewers and
Yeah.
that there was a very a cool craft beer scene that was being started. It was quite literally being pioneered by home brewers.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Really
Yeah.
piqued my interest to try home brewing myself.
Right.
So that's really where it started. And there's a place in Chicago called the Brew and Grow. It's a place where you can get all the brewing supplies you need or
Right.
hydroponic supplies you need.
Mhm.
And it was
Hydroponics for what?
for tomatoes and stuff like that.
Sure, tomatoes.
But yeah, so I ended up going there. They taught me a lot, honestly. It was more than just a place you could pick up grain. I mean, we've got a
Right,
place
sure.
like that here in Indy. Great
Yep.
fermentation.
Great fermentations, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can get any advice that you need.
Yep.
You want to get to the next level. Here's what you need to know. It's great experienced people to teach you. Anyway, I did that, making beer in my kitchen. Eventually, going to the backyard. To do bigger batches and stuff
Right.
like that, and getting into all grain brewing and all that. And,
Yeah.
I don't know, just
We
one
kinda-
thing led to the next. And
We
here
pretty
we
much
are.
jumped straight into all grain. Didn't
Yeah.
we?
Yeah.
We did I think they did one extract kit.
Yep.
And then
Yeah.
went
Yep.
straight to trying to do brewing bag,
Yeah.
on the
But we did have a lot of help because we've
We had a
we've
lot-
already been friends with a lot of the brewers, so we did have a lot of advice and tips for a lot of people don't have that.
Yep.
To jump into. So we had,
Yeah.
We had help. And,
We had great
phone call away from anybody.
great
and
fermentations
was
helped.
one of the first
Yep.
ones that helped us out.
They helped us get some of our original equipment.
Yeah, it's really the
Started.
equipment. It's like, do you have the right equipment to get it done? That's
Right.
what it comes
And then
down
clean
to.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Keep it
exactly.
clean.
Keep it sanitized.
They never really tell you about that's the part you always
Yeah.
have to learn is it may be
How serious it is.
yeah. 8 hours of brewing and 10 hours of cleaning.
Oh, yeah.
just
Yep.
Yeah.
that's always
Yeah,
the part that gets
that's
me.
good enough is not good
No.
enough.
Worth every second of it, because 2 weeks later you might have a beer that works but doesn't
Well,
taste too good.
Yeah, well,
we did.
we found that out. We found that out when we brewed a stout.
we got a
I'm
sour
sorry,
stout.
when we brewed a black IPA, or
Yeah.
as we were told, is this supposed to be a black IPA? We're like, was that a thing? Sure, go
Yeah,
for it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
you started it. Yeah. So that's kind of where it all started, And I had my daughter back in 2010, my first daughter actually. We moved back to Indianapolis, my wife and I, after she was born, and I'm like, well, this is a good time to change it up and do something new and contribute to the city that I grew up in. You know?
Right.
So you are
Yeah.
are in
Yep.
okay, you
Yep.
are a Hoosier.
Born and raised here. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Where
So you
just
kinda-
straight up Indianapolis, or were you
South side.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of like Franklin Township area, and
Yeah, I grew up in Irvington.
Yeah.
Is
Okay.
where I was from.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Yep.
We're right on Arlington and Washington in the crossroads.
Okay. Nice.
You got into a perfect time too, because right kind of as it was kind of boiling at that point, and
Yeah.
the scene really starting in Indianapolis.
It
even
did.
back
Yeah.
then. So you probably couldn't have found this place now if you know what I mean. It would have been
No.
long gone.
Yeah, I
because
mean, it's definitely, it took off. I mean,
Yeah.
I think in 2013 we were the 11th brewery in Indianapolis,
that's-
like greater Indianapolis,
Yeah.
which is, they were, I think, I don't know where we're at right now. I think it's
Oh,
something
God.
like 80 in greater
I
Indianapolis.
believe
Yeah,
so.
it's-
Yeah, there's got to
but,
be. at least.
yeah.
Well, not much anymore.
Well,
We'll see what
Sadly,
happens.
some of
Survive, but
hopefully
but-
a lot of them will be able to survive. But yeah,
Yeah,
we're gonna
hopefully.
see how that goes.
Yeah, these are
Um,
trying times. But yeah, we were
Yeah.
11th back then, and it was crazy because it was like every month after that, it seemed like there was a new one, a new
Yeah.
one, a new one.
Yep.
And, yeah, it's great because we're all contributing to our hyper local markets, and
right.
everybody's got their own flavor and own experience.
yeah,
and
exactly.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's awesome.
You kind of try to stay true to some of the old styles, correct? I mean, that's kind of your.
Yeah, I mean, when we do classic styles, we definitely do. We try
Mhm.
to, we kind of run the gamut on the whole thing. We do classic styles from, Europe, and
Mhm.
and we're doing a lot of the newer things, like the
Right.
hazy IPAs and hazy pale ales and fruited sours and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
we definitely stay true to, like, Sister City Kolsch. We
Mhm.
brew it just like you would in Cologne, Germany. You
Sure.
know, the water profile that we use
Right.
mimics the exact water profile of Cologne, Germany. Same processes and everything.
Excellent.
So yeah, it's just it just depends on the style. The Irish Red, which we
Mhm.
call Irish Hill, after the neighborhood.
As it should be. Yes.
It's just a classic Irish Red,
Yeah.
But we love playing with hops. We love playing with fruit. We love experimenting with different things. So, we do that with kind of some of the newer American styles.
And you mentioned your head brewer. What was your head brewer's name?
Nick Shadle.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Where did
Yep.
he get? You know where he got? He's busy
Cut his
right now,
teeth.
by the
Yeah,
way.
he's-
Yeah. He's in the middle of transfer, I think you said, and
Yeah, he's,
no interruptions to the brewer.
Yep, long day. Yeah, doing
Yeah.
2 turns today. So, but yeah, he's a home brewer as well. Born and raised in Richmond, Indiana.
Okay.
Mhm.
He helped out here in the build-out period. We relied on a lot of volunteers. We built this place ourselves.
Were you guys friends before? Or your business? Is it?
No,
part-
he actually sent me a message on Facebook, just a random dude that wanted to help when we were cleaning this space up and building walls.
Oh,
We were
wow.
framing out the walls and hanging drywall and, building the bar and all the things that we did back those days. And it's kind of funny because every job that we gave him for a couple weeks was on a ladder. These are 15-foot ceilings. Didn't know he was afraid of heights.
Aw.
But you know what? He did it every single time.
Nice.
And
Dedication.
He was dedicated. He wanted to be here, but now getting on a ladder, it's just an essential part of the job. You got to
Yeah.
dry hop those
Gotta get up.
fermenters. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
But yeah, it's he met him in the early stages, and we had a lot of volunteers. Thank God. I mean, we had firefighters that became great friends that
Yeah.
had time off, days off that they'd spend over
Wow.
here helping us, and just longtime friends that wanted to help out.
I
It's
can't-
great how much I hear that
Oh,
in
yeah.
Indiana. We don't hear that. We travel around. We've done shows around, and Indianapolis and even Indiana, it just seems like you see more of that than anywhere else.
Yeah, that's
Other
cool.
communities that have helped out build places, and talking about Chesterton, and then just
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
just these amazing communities who really get behind the breweries. And
I can't get these guys to come help me like fix my shed.
Well,
Yeah.
start brewing beers for myself.
Yeah, if you had
Be
beer.
still in it.
That was definitely key. We always had a keg on tap,
Exactly,
a homebrew
yeah.
keg, you know.
We had that same conversation with like Chesterton. If you end up getting up north, Chesterton Brewing, they did the same thing. It was like all we were literally brewing was to pay the the volunteers at that time.
Yep. Just
They
to
were
keep.
practicing the brews and just giving it to them, saying, "Hey, does that taste good? Yeah, we good."
Yep. Those volunteers are. I think you're right. It's something in Indy. You know, people just like it's kind of like the neighborly thing, like
Yeah.
coming together
Yep.
and complete strangers reaching out on social media or whatever it is.
Brewers, I always see brewers reaching out to help each other and helping other. I mean, it's just it's just a great community. That
Yeah.
whole city. I mean, so we talk it up and down all the time,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's a great scene in Indiana. I think.
Yeah.
So what did you do before?
So I went to college for graphic design. Went
Okay.
to Columbia College in Chicago. Did a lot of brand work for companies. So I was
Okay.
a creative director for a number of companies in Chicago.
How do you convince your wife to say, "Hey, honey, I want to quit my job and open a brewery"?
I mean, I've got
It's
a
gonna
really
be a fun
supportive.
conversation.
I've got a very supportive wife.
I know.
And it wasn't
gamble.
just it was also proving it to myself that it was worth pursuing.
Yeah.
That was
Oh,
a big
yeah.
piece of it. But yeah, it was definitely a big switcheroo. It's like this is what I've been doing this other thing for 6-7 years. But
Although that
beer
probably
is
helped a little bit.
amazing, and this is a great opportunity to kind of switch it up and do something fun and creative. I've always been a creative person. I want to do something new.
Yeah.
It's hard to stick with the same thing
Picked
too
a-
long.
you just picked a different medium at this point.
Exactly. Yeah,
and that's awesome. And, well, the graphic design has to help too, because then you can make all your own kind of.
Yeah, I mean, we knew from the beginning that we wanted to look, just as professional as the biggest breweries in town.
Right.
Even though we were the smallest.
Yeah.
It was a
Yep.
big thing for me. Not just great beer, but it has to have great artwork.
Right.
I'm a firm believer that the artwork on the can really influences the experience.
Absolutely.
You can have an amazing beer with just
Yeah, but it's
word
in a-
art label,
with
and you're like, it's great, but they need to work on their
Yeah.
creativity
Yeah.
a little
Oh,
bit.
yeah.
But
I mean, that's fine if it's fine if it's like a silver crowler or something. that I'm coming to get a fresh fill because I
Yeah.
know that,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
but I don't want just a silver can that says beer on
beer. I don't know. It might go that direction after as wild and crazy as things have gotten. But
it. Yeah, we can't afford
That's
any
true.
money
I
for
think it-
colors. It's just going to say beer on it now.
Yeah.
Beer number
Yeah.
1, beer number 2.
but we've changed it up too. I mean, our brand has definitely evolved with the years. We've been about 7 years now. We
Yep.
started off, when we opened, it was all like dark, aggressive. Is really
Yeah.
the thing back then.
China,
And
yes.
it was all. It was along with the beers too. It was
Right.
like high ABV.
Right.
Barrel aged
Yep.
monsters. That
Ridic-
was.
ridiculously hopped stuff.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
just because that's what everybody wanted in the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yep.
Craft-
And they're still amazing. They're still great beers, but
Sure.
there's not as much of a
Yeah.
hype around those beers as
Yep.
there used to be. But yeah, now we're just evolving with the industry and having fun at the same time, and so our labels definitely reflect that. You can see the evolution over time.
And it's great too. 'Cause, I mean, 2013, you think you're a baby, but you guys are staples really in the city. Everybody knows Indiana City beer. I mean, the Shadow Box has been around, obviously. So
Yeah.
your beers are known out there already. So you're already a staple, which is awesome,
Yeah.
and a good staple because everybody.
Which-
you guys
yeah.
have great beers. I know the Yacht. I'm drinking the mango, but I've had the one that the Yacht was the one
So
of
yeah,
the
the
first
Yacht-
ones I had here.
Yeah, but yeah,
And
right.
we always try the first to clean, the wheats or the lager, something,
Yep.
the simple beers at first before we start getting into the stouts and the crazy beers, just to see how they are. And you guys, one of the things I, got here was the simple, clean, refreshing.
Yeah, because if you can't
know,
make your
like-
simple straight beers
Yeah.
clean and stuff, it's not likely some of your other stuff's going to have a good
Usually,
base
yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what style you're working with. You can't hide flaws. But
Yeah.
it's I'm glad you like that. That's
Yeah.
the mango yacht rock, and we put a massive amount of mango in there.
Yeah,
Well,
to
I
get
haven't
that
had the
flavor.
regular yacht rock before, so
That was
I
the
didn't
I
get
think that's
the.
the first beer I had here was the Yacht Rock, and this
Yeah.
is delicious and it's not overly sweet. We're gonna get into more, take a break and some more beers, but I really like this mango.
Yeah.
It's not doesn't hit you in the flavor.
It's not
face with
syrupy.
sweet,
It's not.
It's really light.
It's. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
because if you just have I've had it. You just have mango juice.
Yeah.
It's pretty thick. It's got it kind of coats your tongue, and it's heavy like pineapple juice or anything like that. This doesn't. It's got just enough heft, I think, so it's not like watery kind of, with just the little taste of mango. It's got good mouthfeel to it. It's
crisp,
and it's crisp and clean.
It's that kind of bubble gum like aroma that you get off of a Belgian wheat goes really well with the mango. And we always use pure fruit puree in all of our fruited beers. So there's no just flavors in there. It's actual fruit. That goes a long way, I think. Yeah. You don't get hit with it, You taste it, but you're not just hit with it,
Right.
And there's no chemical flavor when you use the extracts and the things like that. That's kind of artificial. You don't want that artificial piece, and that's what I get hit with on a few of them where they're trying, and it obviously is a price point too, because that puree is not
fruit's
cheap.
Not cheap. Yeah, we just ordered $1,800 worth of fruit today for another batch, and I'm like, are we sure? I'm like, well, if you add it. Compare it to hops, on a double dry hop beer, and it's like, it's comparable. Yeah. It gets expensive. But
it does.
Yeah.
Well, but you got to be willing to take that for the right flavor profile and the right craft. If you didn't really care, sure, you could fake a mango on there, and I guess that's fine. But this is one of the first mango ones though I've had that's not a mango habanero something.
That's true.
I normally, whenever you hear mango, it's like, there's going to be a freaking habanero in that pepper.
We've heard that at the bar many times. Have you had a mango habanero?
Yes. Oh, yes. Trust me. No, that's why we made this one, so we didn't have to do a mango habanero right now.
A good chili pepper beer has got its place.
Oh, it does. It's just, again, mango is always that's all they ever use with that one. So we love our pepper beers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I always try whatever I can find if there is a pepper beer out
Smart
there.
if you got extract, then you can cover up that chemical with that pepper. But when you got a nice puree,
you just
not at all.
Just enjoy that fruit.
Exactly. Well, I tell you what, let's take a quick break. We're going to grab some flights and
talk about beer.
Talk about your beers and flavor profiles, and we'll just keep going. And then I do want to get into some of the history of the building, because it actually falls in line with what when you started the pigs on Prohibition and such, and
absolutely.
It's a pretty cool story. So see ya.
Hi, I'm Haley. This is Shoveltier Brewery, and you're listening to Blind Pig Confessions.
If you're a craft beer guy who can't get it nearby, do yourself a favor and log into Taver.
This is Robert Ralph Feddersen, and you're listening to Blind Pig Confessions. The bear eats the dude.
Hey, we are back at Indiana City Brewing.
Part two. Well, not part two. Sorry. Second. I don't know. I'm horrible.
It's your first show? Come on.
Yes, it is.
Of course, summer night, downtown Indy. And actually, it's nice. The doors opened up, and it's not bad at all.
Yeah, as long as you're, when you're not like shuffling equipment around and doing anything. If you're just sitting here drinking, it's super pleasant.
And when you have
it's great drinking weather.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you have nice, great beer in front of you, it makes it that much better. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're gonna run through some of the samples or the flight of a few of the beers from here at Indiana City.
Yeah,
and
we've got 5 beers here.
We let Ray pick this one. And all his stuff, and we're just gonna. I think we're gonna dig in.
Yeah.
And hopefully, if we and like we said earlier, if we get it out of order, we'll just start over.
We always get out of order.
Well, let's do it. We've got I picked out 5 beers here. Some classic, some newer. Some one-offs that we've done, and
awesome.
A series beer in here. So we can. We're gonna start off with our Kolsch that we talked a little bit about earlier, the Sister City Kolsch. Just crisp, refreshing. You'd swear it's a lager,
almost a citrusy note on the nose, though.
Yep.
I mean, it's clean. It gives it that fresh, refreshing citrusy note on the nose for me, at least when I smell it. So
no, exactly. That's what I get at a good Kolsch, but you
get a little bit of that kind of saltine cracker aroma.
Absolutely. Yep.
The Kolsch yeast adds a lot of that character.
Yes.
A little bit of flavor in there.
Yeah.
Nice. You talked about the water.
Mm-hmm.
I did one. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we adjusted to match the exact profile of cologne. So down in our cellar, we've got a reverse osmosis system.
Okay.
We literally strip city water down to just pure H2O.
Okay.
that means we've got a blank canvas to work with. Now we got to build it back up. So
nice.
every single mash that we do, we build the water profile back up to whatever style we're brewing.
That's great
to match it. So
I didn't realize I had the specs or the whatever that you could find out what the water's like in Cologne.
Yeah, you can actually download an app that'll tell you exactly what the profile is in London, England,
That's
or
awesome.
Dublin, Ireland, or and with brewing with city water is not a great idea.
Right.
It has flavor characteristics.
Yeah, your water profile is going to fluctuate with the seasons, so it's
just a little bit of lead in it.
Yeah, without a large fresh body of water, like Michigan, if we were in Chicago or somewhere else, with a lake feeding the supply, you gotta get creative, I guess. Gotta strip it down and build it back up. So that's what we do. Yeah.
Well, I like the fact that you strip it down and build it back up, because a lot of times it's just, let's just strip it down.
Yeah, that doesn't work
and then brew your beer, and I'm like, well, that's I guess that works, but you lose. I think you lose some of that subtlety of characteristics and things. Kind of like CDs versus vinyl.
Yeah.
While CDs do sound great, there's something about because there's something about vinyl that
they're stripped down, but they're
you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I do.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's always sound quality.
Yeah, because if you even if you look at from a nerd standpoint, you look at the waveforms on a CD, they're digital and blocky, and but vinyl's got that curve and it gets those subtle
grooves,
things, and just like the water, then
Well, in beer, it's more of I guess in the sound analogy, this instead of music for us, it's just chemistry.
Right.
It's you've got to have the right chemistry, or the right things don't happen in the mash tun.
Yeah.
So the conversion of starches to sugar and all that.
Well, and rather than trying to engineer the beer to compensate for nothing in the water, you're engineering the water to help complement the beer.
Yep.
So
to make it the best environment for a great beer. So that's what we do.
Is there issues now? Again, this is the science part of it. Is you make a nice home brew that tastes great when you're doing a 10-gallon batch or something. But when you're going, is there science behind how that yeast may react to a bigger batch or anything like that? Or
definitely. Your pitch rate changes. So how much
you can't
yeast
just double it. It's not like baking. You say, I'm getting I got to times everything by 4. I mean, so there's a science behind it. I don't think people understand that.
Behind every piece of the brewing process, there's a lot of science behind it. Yeah, and with yeast, it's different pitch. I mean, what kind of yeast are you using? Is it slurry? Is it dry? Is it liquid? So there's a lot of science behind that.
Is it Fleischmann's?
Yeah. There's some good dry yeast out there that you can home brew really well with.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's an interesting the whole process is just a ton to learn, and that's what's really interesting about home brewing and brewing specifically.
Have you guys cultivated any of your own yeast?
We don't really
from down in the basement.
We haven't actually inoculated anything from the building, but we've wondered often what we would collect if we did, if we had a way of collecting yeast in here.
Well, they got the site like as a bootleg biology. They've got the kits and stuff where you can try to get it from your own area, and we have some friends down in Gallatin, Tennessee, who do
Briar Scratch.
They did a lot of that down in the hollers,
his place is in a holler. It's a little bit different.
Well, but no, I always I do like to ask the brewers: do you cultivate one, or do you or do you have one that do you have a consistent yeast you use across all of them, or do you switch up yeast based on?
It just depends on the style what we're using, but a lot of beers we use the same yeast strains. Yeah.
Okay.
But it just depends on the style, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Cool. No, this is so crushable. I mean,
easy.
A clean Kolsch on a summer day. These are the crushable ones, and this has got to be one of the popular canned ones that you sell through.
Yeah, this is one that we didn't put in cans at first, but then when we did, it worked really well.
You didn't?
Yeah, we didn't.
I would have figured this one went on your first one.
This was originally just on draft here in the tap room.
Wow, because this is a lawnmower beer.
I'm going to say this is the great boat beer summertime. Just crush it, and because it's just a great, crisp,
and
refreshing.
Dangerous. What's the ABV on your sister?
4.7.
All right,
that's perfect.
That's perfect. It's not heavy. It's not too hard, and you can crush a few of these, and that's awesome.
Yeah. Yep. Good summer hydrator, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wonderful. Excellent, cool.
Yeah, nice and clean. I love it. I like starting out that way.
Yeah.
All right, where are we at next?
Trying to take you guys from kind of crisp and refreshing, lighter to kind of more hoppy.
Absolutely.
Hop forward. So,
perfect.
Next up, we've got our alley-oop. This is actually a coffee blonde that we did in collaboration with Hubbard and Cravens.
Oh, really?
We've been getting beans from them for this since we started.
Oh,
brewing
really?
This beer.
Okay.
So
Sweet.
they roast their own beans.
Ah.
It's a great family operation there too. It's just a really cool local company.
That's been a big thing too. Is the craft? I guess you call it because everything craft. It's a horrible label, I guess, to put on everything. But
Yeah.
craft coffee shops.
Yeah.
I know.
That's battling the big corporate giants and
Yeah.
stuff. But there is a massive difference to that because the big chains are again trying to crank out as much as they can, and really, if you know coffee, half the time, go into the who we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's literally just burnt coffee.
Yeah.
It's burnt, and that's why there's that's why there's that's why there's lots of milk in it and lots of all these flavors and stuff. But the true core, like espressos and stuff, it's a subtle art to the coffee
You can
as
definitely
well.
tell a fresh roasted coffee bean from
That hasn't
a
been-
well
that-
roasted bean,
and that
too.
hasn't
Yeah.
been, and it hasn't even been brewed at too high a temperature either.
Yeah.
Just like
Yep.
beer. It's in a way, it's a craft. I mean, takes its own kind of brewing
Yeah.
skill to get a really good cup of coffee.
Yep. And this is the way we do this alley-oop coffee blonde is we actually put the beans directly into the fermenter post-fermentation and let it kind of cold brew, essentially is what we're
right.
doing. So the way you make
Oh,
cold brew
wow.
coffee is you just steep beans in the
Yeah.
water in a cold environment for a period of time, and
Are
eventually you have
whole
a-
beans? Are you grinding? Is
They're
it
whole-
still
whole
grind?
beans.
Oh, the whole beans.
Yeah, these-
because a lot of the ones you see, they're just almost kind of
That's
pouring
kinda
it through the
cool.
coffee
Yeah.
grinds.
Yeah, we just put whole beans in there and let it sit for a few days and turn into kind of cold brew coffee beer.
That's great. I
And-
tell you, that
Yeah.
aroma really hits you. That
Yeah.
that coffee.
That's straight up coffee,
Man,
man.
yeah.
That's a-
If you're a coffee drinker, this is definitely your beer.
That has got an awesome aroma of cold brew coffee right there. Just
Yeah.
I haven't even drank it yet.
Yep.
I'm still admiring that.
Yeah, and I think this one's about 5.5 in the
5.5.
ABV. So
And,
yeah,
how, and how much caffeine?
yeah, I know that.
Does the caffeine surprise?
You know-
Does honestly on these ones does the
I'm sure
caffeine kind
there-
of stay there?
I'm sure there's some
Does
in
it get
there.
taken
Gotta
out?
be
I-
something in there.
I don't think
yeah.
anyone's ever noticed it or felt it.
yeah.
But
Well, no,
I mean,
no, I was a
if you're
chemistry
pretty
nerd.
sensitive to it, it might
Yeah.
keep you up. Yeah, you might not want this one right before bed.
No, that's great. That aroma just really hits you. That coffee. It's
And it's
brilliant,
in
and
the
it's-
aroma, and it's not overpowering in the flavor.
No,
though.
no.
So the flavor is subtle, at least. It's very subtle there, but the aroma makes you think it's going to be, more powerful in the taste.
Yeah.
Which
Yep.
again, I'm not. I don't know if I'm hoping that's not coming off as insulting
Oh, no,
against
no.
anything, but it's still a super clean blonde.
Mhm.
Little bit of hint of that bitterness from the beans.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just the aroma's
Wonderful.
spectacular. I don't know how you
Yeah, it's
get that
definitely
much of an aroma there.
nice, bright, clean
Cl-
coffee
yeah, that's
aroma.
it. Just
Well, that's what I would expect from a stout. That's the aroma I would expect off a
Yeah.
coffee stout.
Yeah.
But it's coming off of a blonde, and it's spectacular.
Yep. So we call it alley-oop because we kind of got an assist from the coffee. That's where the name comes
So
from.
are you? Who's? Is it in collaboration? I know some of the original recipes, I guess, are from your home brew, but
Yeah.
Are you still basically developing the recipes, and then your brewer helps you bring them to fruition, or are you guys doing more of a collab now too? Just
As far as what we're brewing more recently, they're mostly all Nick's beers.
Right.
Oh, okay.
A lot of them might be based on, in some way, a previous
Mhm.
beer, but Tribute, Sister City, Shadowbox, or Yacht Rock, all those like real classics were
Right.
all kind of my homebrew inventions, I guess,
Sure.
that
Yeah.
type of stuff. And there have been many beers. I don't even know how many beers we've brewed now. Seems like we're putting out a new one about every week. So, but
oh darn.
but yeah, Nick has been super innovative, and it's really our whole team here at Indiana City. There's not just one person that
Yeah.
drives the beer decisions here.
Right.
You know?
And that's
It's-
great.
It's it's definitely in that sense of collaboration. It's definitely like we're
There's-
all sitting down and what are we seeing that's cool? What's something different that we'd like to do?
Ideas are encouraged. You're saying so. It's
Oh,
not.
absolutely.
There's no Because there's sometimes in some places it can be a little dictatorship on there, and you get.
Did anybody fight on the hazy? Because that's one thing was funny when it was starting getting big. Where we'd ask brewers, and almost some of them had to like stop the show and like, oh,
there's like I will never brew.
I'll tell you what, it was
or NEPA. Well, and that hazy versus and there's NEPA being different in my mind than the hazy, but
yeah, I mean the whole hazy thing. I mean the way it happened with us, I think it's probably 2017 or so. Someone on staff brought up, hey, I just went out to Denver, and I've had these really phenomenal hazy IPAs.
Right.
I'm like, hazy is the thing that we've been fighting against since the beginning, you know? I mean, you forget to purge all the yeast out of your bright tank before you carbonate it, and you've got a hazy beer. But, you know, I'm like, are they just doing it wrong? Are they messing everything up, and they're just, spinning it as a new beer style?
Right. That's what I always wondered. Was it the mess up where you're like, oh, yeah, so this is the sour apple beer I just made?
Well, and I think the thing is, back then there were only a few that were really doing it, you know? Doing it really well. You know, I remember specifically Hoofhearted in Ohio was putting out tons of these things. And I remember hearing a podcast they were on and just thinking, guys, you're really selling your inexperience really well, you know? And
your marketing team is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Come to find out, it's actually a whole other style that has a whole other process that is very innovative and very creative, and God bless it because we're loving it.
But it wasn't. But it wasn't recognized for
it wasn't.
quite a while.
Everybody was pretty skeptical at first.
By the what's the governing body of the J? You know, you got to get certified to be a taster. That
BJCP.
It wasn't a recognized BJCP style for a while. It had to be. Talked about, and a decision had to be made on what is considered then this style. And
I think last year was the first time it was Great American Beer Fest category.
That was NEPA, I thought. So
the New England IPA.
Which is that still considered in the hazy category?
I think the way they do it now is it's a hazy, juicy IPA is what they call it. You know,
I didn't realize it was just that recently the hazy and NEPA got it. I thought maybe like 2 years ago, but
I think the whole New England thing kind of came from the Heady Toppers and those breweries that were putting them out in the Northeast. But
as one of our perfect because one of our pigs, Cowboy, doesn't like New England, and it's Indiana. You should hate New England anyway. So he was trying to get. He was on a mission to change it to the Northeastern IPA, just so you know.
The Northeastern, It is important to note they actually made mention at the Great American Beer Fest last year that they just wanted to recognize that none of the breweries that won in that category were from New England.
Oh, really?
Thought that was pretty cool. Awesome. Most of them actually the Midwest. They were all three from the Midwest, I believe.
Oh, really?
So no, Tom Brady did not win this year.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a interesting style. We love it. It's cool.
It really is. My biggest thing on I think the hazies last longer. I'm big on for the NEPAs. I'm not big on like canned or bottled NEPAs. I need it. For me, it's got to be fresh, or you lose. Except for a few notable exceptions. There are a couple. There's one or two, but M43
awesome.
is a great beer that seems to somehow fight the problem of you needing to really be fresh to get that straight, real juiciness you want out of it. But I don't know how they do it, but
still gotta be fresh. I mean, I
you don't want
to. I mean,
you don't want a year-old can of you don't want a year-old can of M43.
Yeah, anything hoppy, you want to keep it cold. You just want to preserve that hop character. But it's cool how they evolve in the can a little bit. When they're first packaged, people call it kind of they're green, right off the canning line. They've got a lot of that really green hop character, but give it a week or two and it kind of turns into a more balanced, mellowed out
it's like a good whiskey or something. Let it sit for a bit and mellow.
I mean, a couple weeks age isn't that bad on a hazy. It's not the worst thing.
But that's the problem. But you get too big and your cans are sitting there for too long, and then you start to
get a problem.
There is a point at which you reach peak, and then it's going to just start to fall off after that a little bit. But
it's a fun style.
Awesome. How are you choosing the can? Are you doing that by your sales inside and what's? Or are you just kind of saying let's do this? And
a lot of our one-offs we've been putting in cans.
Okay.
We used to do 12-ounce six-packs for a long time. It was like 2015 through 2017 probably we were doing that, and it was just classic beers. It was a tribute, Shadowboxer, Yacht Rock. The ones that everybody knew the most. That was really good for a while, but we saw a change happening. You know, the numbers were shifting a little bit. We're like, okay, the one-offs we put out sell out in about a week, 2 weeks, you know. The classics, they're hanging on for quite a bit longer, you know. So that's kind of driving a lot of decisions, like any business would.
People want the newer one. It's like I've had that.
Yep.
I want to try something new.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you want to do more of what works, and what people want the most is what is really most important to us. So,
awesome.
you know, the New England IPAs, the hazy IPAs, hazy pale ales. I mean, you got to put those in a can.
Yeah.
Like people want that in a can. It's just they're demanding it. And we just started canning our sour for the same reason. Like,
really?
All the sour.
I would love.
Like,
trying to find good sours
in a can. So, you know, we're putting a little bit of everything in cans these days.
So, are you running the artwork on the cans, or? Is
you know, we've got an amazing artist, Aaron Scamahorn. He goes by Ron Luhorn Industries. He does a lot of great work for many other beverage companies, and also just amazing work for, you know, there's a cool radio show he's doing a lot of cool stuff for now. He's just a very creative, innovative dude. We've been really lucky to have him on our team from the beginning.
Awesome.
You know, a great example I think is Lou Alcapau. You know, I call him up. Actually, I just sent him a text message. I need to order a label tomorrow morning for our pineapple IPA. Okay, well, you have a name? No. How about Lou Alcapau? Sounds great. Literally like 40 minutes later, I've got a label in my inbox called Lou Alcapau. I'm like, let's do it.
Jesus.
He's just a great dude. He's very creative, you know, super dependable. And, I don't know how we wouldn't be what we are without the dude. So,
awesome.
it's cool to have him on our team. But, yeah.
Sweet.
Sorry.
We're working our way a little while, but that's at number 3 now.
We're not taking phone calls yet.
Hold on, folks. We'll get to you in just a bit.
Ray's got to check. He's still got to work.
Yeah, we're good.
Still got business to do.
We're good. But
so we'll move on to our next one. What's our next
That's Lou
one?
Alcapau.
Oh, this
Good
is the
segue.
luau. Oh, okay. I thought the luau was the last one.
No, this is the pineapple IPA. So this has it's actually a very clean base as far as the malt bill goes. It's based off of our Brute IPA actually.
Oh, really?
So very crisp, clean, light, you know. And then we dry hopped it with the Zaka hops, and
I don't know.
I believe El Dorado was the other hop in this one. And then
I know the El Dorado.
Yeah, and we post fermentation just dosed it with a lot of pineapple puree.
When I first got that to my nose, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be too bitter for me. I thought it was gonna be too hoppy, but man,
it's not bitter. It's not bitter or hoppy.
Really
it is dry.
It's dry. I like that, man. That dry. Pineapple is there, and it's almost like that's really nice. Really nice.
You definitely get it kind of in the end. I mean, you taste it up front for sure.
Oh yeah.
But that like fresh, real pineapple flavor kind of lingers.
Yeah, that hits.
Again, it's not sweet. It's not syrupy. You can just get that nice light pineapple.
It's not artificial.
Very clean. No. Yeah. That's really nice.
And this is, the Brute IPA was one of Nick's inventions.
Really?
The Brute Chamba, the based off of.
Yeah, so it's super crisp, super dry, fermented down to nothing, literally.
Yeah. I really get the hops on that aroma, but man, that taste is really nice.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's really nice.
Well, I've never been good with smelling the hops part. That it just because of my allergies over the years, my nose has. For some reason, hops get me a little bit more. Okay. I mean, I can smell the fruits.
Yeah,
I can
hear
smell
that
the coffees and stuff. But I really wish, in doing this, I always love seeing guys. That they've got. Or when you're going on to tours and stuff, they're like, here's all the hops, and it's in a little jar. Like, smell these, or they're putting them in their hands and smelling them, and I'm like, I really wish I could do that, because if I did that, I would die.
Yeah, I make
he's got a bit of an allergy too to a couple of hops.
It's a couple of them,
There's a couple hops that really, I mean, he'll start drinking, then all of a sudden,
Jameson.
Well, yeah, Jameson. No, that just makes you forget.
Yeah, where am I?
But you'll see him on a couple. He'll hit a couple hops on some of the beers we do. And
Jameson and Wild Turkey.
His face goes red.
Yeah. That's Wild Turkey. I get a red stripe. My brother gets it too. It's
That's
like
crazy.
they look like I look a raccoon.
Yeah,
They're like,
that's
oh
the-
shit,
it's like
they're on wild turkey. Get away.
The
But I
red
don't-
comb
it's
of a
very-
chicken just showing
Yeah.
up right there, you know, the
It's
wild
odd
turkey
as
in you.
hell. Strange, but there's a couple hops that'll as soon as I drink them, and I probably should start writing down what hops I'm drinking.
It would
but I
make
don't.
sense.
There you go.
But I'm like, screw it. I'm not going to drink it. So
Yeah,
but
no,
there's
I've
a
heard of
couple
people
them.
having that. But yeah,
So
it's,
what was the other? You had the Eldorado, but what was the other hop? 'Cause I'll have to-
Azaka, yeah. And I'm looking at the can to check myself because it's been a
I
day.
need to read up on that because I haven't heard
Yeah.
that one. Just curious what the
been-
what that flavor profile adds to it. What that hop. adds to
Azaka's
the
a very
flavor.
like tropical
I can
fruity.
say
hop.
Okay.
I just had somebody else
Yeah.
with that Azaka. I can't remember where the hell I had that at, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because you
there's-
don't want anything like super piney on this one because you want to
Yeah.
keep that fruit
Yep.
profile.
Yeah, definitely went for
Okay.
the tropical on this one.
And you don't even need to hit the hard citrus ones. That's
Yep.
that's one I haven't heard before. So it must be a nice subtle fruit to it rather than the standard like really citrusy hops
Yeah.
and stuff. So
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah, we've got so many new hops coming out all the time too. It's
Awesome.
It's,
Are
it's
you-
tough to keep up with?
How and I know everybody tries, but especially in these times right now. I mean, do you try to do local? I mean, you try to get some. You guys do anything with some of the local hops and
We
stuff?
have, yeah.
And,
We've worked with Ryan Hammer out at the Crazy Horse Hops.
Crazy Horse, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
He's been picking cones for us every fall that we
nice.
go out there and pick up for our Harvest IPA.
okay.
It's
Cool.
called the it's our Harvest IPA Wicked Reaper is what we call
Nice.
it. It's kind of a throwback to the 2013s, 2014s when you had your 9%,
Super hop.
just dry hopped
Yeah.
West
Yeah.
Coast style IPAs.
Which, which in the beginning and in the early days, that's what craft beer was. It
yeah,
was.
and it's still a great place for it. I mean, we
Yeah.
love those beers,
Sure.
and we're still brewing them for that reason.
But I'm glad the
yeah.
image has somewhat changed because it,
Yeah.
it expanded it to the masses when you stopped doing 900 freaking hops in your.
Yeah.
Hey, how many hops can I stuff in the beer? Oh, and let me put a real hop in it while you're drinking
Yeah,
it.
I remember
And-
those that were like 22 hops and
Yeah, it's like
I-
what?
500
It's like,
malts.
yeah, where do you? Yeah, where? How do
But
you
it's-
separate any flavor subtleties on that one at that point?
We
Yeah,
may
it's
not have
just
been here
fun.
without it though either.
No,
'cause,
no,
I mean,
we wouldn't have.
I think we crossed a lot of people that never would have drank, gone away
Oh,
from what they're,
no.
from their
Yeah.
Miller Lite and stuff. And they started,
I-
oh my God, you
yeah.
can do this with beer.
yeah.
And
I wasn't knocking it. It was the founding father of the craft movement, and that was all it was. Is what I was saying is, I'm glad it grew from
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
everybody started to play around with. I don't need to do 22 hops. Let's mix a couple, and you can still get a.
Yep.
And then you can actually taste subtle notes. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not the but yeah.
Good times,
Yes.
good beers.
No, always, and it was a great start to the movement.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is one of the lightest pineapple.
Yeah.
Just everything is there. Nice crisp beer. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's definitely got that. Yeah.
Carbonation's
Yep.
at a good
a good
point
summer
too.
beer.
Yeah, it's.
So 3 good summer beers there.
Absolutely.
This one would be for me not as crushable just because of the dryness. A couple of these
Yeah.
and tongue's going to be sitting out trying to mow the lawn for an hour.
It is a dry one.
Cotton.
Yep.
I have to
Yep.
drink one of these and a Kolsch, one of
Oh,
these
yeah,
and
there
a
you go.
Kolsch.
Yeah. Good. Just balance it out.
Yep.
Yeah, we've got another. Actually, what Nick's brewing today is our next Luau Kapow. So,
Okay.
Um,
A variation or just the next batch of Luau?
I mean, if you figure it out, let me know because we're still trying to figure that out. But we were looking at pineapple today, and we're like, yeah, we should get some more pineapple. So we ordered some pineapple. We'll see if we throw something else in there with it. We might do a combination.
Pepper.
So, yeah.
Pepper.
Never know. Yeah.
Some kind of pepper.
Yeah, we kind of fly fast and loose, but
Nothing wrong
with
with
our
that.
we just making beers as we feel them type
No,
thing.
yeah, no, and that's
Yeah.
fine. I mean, you gotta have your normal schedule of things,
Yeah.
but
I mean, there's some things that we have to. It takes time to
business.
Oh,
get the
yeah.
grain in. You gotta.
Yep.
I don't know, but we're pretty fast. We'll have a concept of a beer, and then it's on the market.
Yep.
You know,
So-
2.5, 3 weeks from then.
So bringing it kind of just, with the situation we're in the world, I was curious on that. How has it been trying to get, did you stop production for a little while completely, or were you still trying to obviously can a few things?
Yeah.
And then how hard was it to get some of your ingredients? I mean, were you kind of limited
Yeah.
over the last few months on what you could do?
No, I mean, so I guess from the beginning, we were having a record year. It was awesome.
Sweet.
You know?
And then
And then COVID-19 hit, and we're like, okay, we were in a good position. We had a lot of beer. All of our tanks were full. We were just
Okay.
trying to keep up with demand, you
Right.
know? you know, it's a good thing and a bad thing. You got a lot of beer on hand with not a quick way to get rid of it all,
Right.
you know.
Right.
Call
So,
the pigs.
Yeah, we started placing can orders and label orders. We, you know, canning everything. You
Yeah.
know, I think
Yeah.
that became the game for pretty much every brewery
Yeah.
in
Yep.
in the country. Once that hit, we luckily just got our crowler machine in. You know, the 32-ounce single-use
Yep.
cans.
Yeah.
We've got our crowler machine in a few weeks before COVID hit. But yeah, there was definitely a supply issue with the crowlers.
Okay.
Yeah.
'cause
Everybody
people
was
were-
trying.
Everybody wanted
yeah.
to do
Well,
crowlers, and if
yeah.
they didn't have a crowler machine, they bought one in mid-March. You know,
Ooh,
because
yeah.
it was just carry out. You know, we were fortunate enough to have a good relationship with our can supplier,
Yep.
and cans
Awesome.
weren't really an issue. Labels weren't an issue. That wasn't a problem. Grain kept going just the way
Wait,
it
was
was.
it-
And all vendors are just, you know, everybody's in this together, right? It's kind of a team effort. So our
Right.
vendors,
Oh yeah.
our vendors were working with us on, you know, making sure that we're meeting our timelines
Yep.
and stuff like that, and under the tight constraints and everything. But yeah, it's
It
been challenging. But yeah, we were in a good position to start.
No,
with.
no, like issues trying to get like like grain in or hops in or anything. I mean,
Not really.
Really,
No.
awesome. Well, that's
not with
great.
The, not with the raw ingredients. I mean, if we were a bigger brewery, maybe that's
Quantity,
an issue.
maybe.
Yeah.
but yeah. I wasn't sure
Um,
how much their shipping things like that were
Yeah.
affected. You know,
Yeah.
as far as
I mean, the timing of getting shipments was definitely off.
okay,
you know?
yeah. So you had to
but-
rethink what you were brewing, what you had on hand to be able to brew with, and
just kind of go with the flow type thing.
Yeah.
You know, flexibility was number one for a couple months there.
well, that's good.
But yeah, we had a lot of beer. We just started canning. You know, so started putting it in cans.
Best way
and
to do it.
We shifted in about a 12-hour period from a taproom centric model with limited wholesale to
Sure.
Right.
you know, online only carry out.
Right.
All of our wholesale accounts were just the same position we were in. Bars
Yeah.
and restaurants didn't
Yeah.
need any beer.
Right.
You know, we're not in grocery. We require our beer to stay cold, so that's not even an option in Indiana.
Oh,
Hopefully they-
yeah.
hopefully they
That's
can
right.
change that. So
Yeah.
That
Exactly.
law,
Right,
that
yeah.
law, is, that
Yeah.
law is still stupid.
yeah, so
It'll
you know,
get changed.
we had to depend on carry out only, and so it was fast. We just shifted over to online only, doing
Yep.
carry out, and yeah.
Well, hopefully,
Here we
yeah,
are
that's
today,
good,
open.
Good. All right,
So,
cool.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to, we've been, as we came back out into the world as well, we're just trying to, we get the stories of how, again, it's not necessarily a happy thing. It's a tough time for all, but we still think everybody needs to understand everybody's still, the community's still together on
is,
it,
yeah.
and really trying. Nobody's wishing anybody ill will. Nobody's trying to muscle anybody else out. Everybody's just kind of trying to get through.
Yeah.
Everybody
and-
needs beer.
Everybody
the
needs
the
beer.
big thing that really helped, I think, all the breweries is that the craft beer fans have been really supportive.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know,
they drive out
They
and-
start. I think everybody kind of sat back and started thinking, okay, what's the local thing I really can't live without? You know,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
it's their local brewery. You know,
Yep.
whatever
Yeah.
neighborhood or city you live
Yeah.
in, you know,
But-
there's
yeah.
there's a brewery close to your heart that you want to make sure survives the thing.
And,
Yeah.
and they could have gone just out and bought macro brews, but they were taking the time to drive out, support, and get a little coin in your pocket so you can keep a couple other people employed.
Yep.
There is a cat that has been walking around this
That's Hagrid.
entire place.
He's our
Or-
fat cat. That's Hagrid. He's the mousetrap.
I just
So he-
keep seeing this cat.
Yeah. So that's Hagrid. We've got Maggie down in the cellar. Maggie's
cellar cat.
Yeah, Maggie's a little skittish. She doesn't come up too much.
Okay.
Yeah, she likes it in the dark cellar. But she'll
So-
come up here. She'll be up here in the morning. As soon as she sees me, she splits. But Hagrid's warmed up to everybody. But yeah, old building, feral cats.
Did the cats?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the cats came with the building.
No, they're
Okay.
no. We ended up getting them through a local clinic. So,
Oh, really?
All right. I was
yeah.
gonna say the cats came with the building. Awesome.
No, they're feral cats that they've got their hunting instincts, their
Yeah,
claws,
nice.
their
Yep.
everything.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, we don't like
Perfect.
that they like to sharpen their claws on the cedar trim over there. But
Yeah.
that's not the best. But if they're hunting
Hey, as long as
mice,
they're
we're
keeping
happy.
the mice, yeah, exactly.
I like
Yeah,
it.
don't.
Yeah,
Well,
so
let's,
this next
uh,
beer,
let's
this is
stick on- yeah.
this
Yeah.
is Tribute. It's an American Pale Ale. This is a beer we came out with in I guess it was probably 2014 or so. It was I think late spring 2014,
Mhm.
and it's brewed with Eureka hops. When we first started brewing this beer, it was brewed with a hop called US. Well, what was it? 05258 or something. I forget what it was, but now it's Eureka.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just a number back then. I used to know the number. What happened?
Oh, it's the same. Okay, you haven't changed.
same
It's
hop,
just, they just call it something.
Yeah,
different.
05258. That's what
Really?
it was. Yeah.
Hop number 05258, please.
Yeah. So that's all the experimental varieties. They just give them numbers until they've proven themselves, and they
Right.
actually bring them to market, give them names. So yeah, this was 05258.
That's
but
what I do with my ladies.
yeah. Back to the hops. Yeah, the
I made him blush.
He's still
Yeah.
at 01. But
the Eureka
yeah,
hops.
man.
Yeah. Back then, it was like the super like resinous, dank hop that we were
Yeah.
looking for.
Right.
And we're just like,
Right.
man, this is it, And so we contacted Hopsteiner that was growing it, and it was only growing on a few acre plot back then, And they said, well, it's actually doing pretty well. We're going to start growing on a larger plot. Do you want to do a contract on it? And we were one of the first breweries to ever contract what became
Nice.
Eureka
Oh, really?
Hops. Yeah.
Really?
And
That's
it just
awesome.
came from our sales rep giving us a sample, and let's
It's
go
beautiful.
from there.
And
But
this is
So what kind of beer? What's the style? Sorry.
it's an
Pale ale.
American pale ale.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is just a nice dry hopped APA.
So, talk. You explain that because people will ask about American pale ales and just a pale because
yeah.
people say that's a pale ale or an American pale ale. To me, I always get a little bit more complexity off an American pale ale. So,
Yeah.
what's the difference?
Yeah, I'd say American pale ales might have a little higher ABV, maybe a little higher IBU. For the most part, it's that dry hop addition. I
Mhm.
think it's also the American ale yeast that you'd use in it that gives it like a clean fermentation. So cleaner, crisper than and other pale ales.
For
But
me,
yeah.
it seems always Americans seem to lean a little more towards even a more amber color than some of the IPAs.
Yeah, I mean,
but
they
I
can
don't know
be-
if it's
they
just
can range
your
for
malt
sure.
range, your malt grain bill on
I
this.
get
but
a little
yeah.
bit more of a maltiness out of the American
Yes.
pale ale. So a
I
little
guess
bit
that's
more
what I
of a-
meant. Less
just
of
a
a
little more
citrus?
flavor, I think. And
less
Yeah.
of a citrus IPA, because
Yeah.
a lot of the IPAs,
Yeah.
the straight up heavy hopped IPAs are
Or a
citrusy
pale
or
ale, but-
piner, it's, very piney.
Yeah.
That's what I get on most IPAs is a very, very piney hop is what I see a lot of them use.
Yeah, I think a big thing with American pale ales is just the larger dose and the dry hop addition.
Yeah,
so you get a nice hoppy nose on it,
Which to me, this still has a better balance than I like the American the American pale ales more than the IPAs. It just seems to have a
You get-
better body,
you get
and
a-
even though
yeah.
it might be you said
It's more
higher
violent.
IBU,
Yeah,
it-
we get a little bit more of
it's
a
not as
sweetness
bitter to
it.
me. Yeah, it's not as
Yeah.
bitter to me as an IPA is.
Yeah, it's all
Well, it
about
should be.
balance. I mean, you want your ABV to be in balance with your
Yeah.
IBUs. You want it to be, if it's 5.5, then try to stick in the mid 50s with your IBUs.
Yeah.
It's a good, nice balanced beer and have a good malt flavor and,
Very
and a
good
good
balance,
hoppy
yes.
profile. And
Yep, and
Yeah.
that one's I like that one. That's a very good one.
yeah,
Not as dry as last one, but still perfect profile on that.
yeah. So yeah, the name Tribute just kind of comes from it's a tribute to just good beer, great hoppy hop
great
forward
American-
beers. I've always
yeah.
been a hop head, so.
Yeah.
I mentioned Half Acre earlier, having their hoppy beers. I used to ride the commuter rail in Chicago, home from work, go from downtown to where we lived on the north
Sure.
side. And they sold their Daisy Cutter, the Half Acre Daisy Cutter
Mhm.
at the train station. So that was always my kind of like end of the day thing,
Okay.
It's kind of, the American Pale Ales kind of have a sweet spot with me, so that's why we call it Tribute.
Awesome.
It's
Nice.
a tribute to all those great APAs that kind of,
Awesome.
got me into it.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
That's a great
Dead
beer.
air there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I just another great clean beer.
It is. Yeah. I'm not having any problems. I feel bad. I haven't been to Indiana City more in the past, so
Yeah.
now I just feel guilty.
Yeah.
Because the beers are pretty good. Although, so we were here as a Microbrewers Festival after the
Yeah,
Microbrewers
that's what it
Festival.
was, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And you guys do a great line of you're good on gozas.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're actually doing true sours, you're doing kettle sours or anything, but
They are kettle sours.
okay, so
Yeah.
they're not. Yeah, so those are
Which are
safe.
you-
Those are a lot safer.
It's
Right.
it's definitely a process thing. We don't have a separate facility for souring. You definitely don't want anything going wild in your
yeah.
brewery because it'll ruin
Well,
every
sours
beer
are
you have.
dangerous, but your gozas are kind of on point. Your gozas are
Yeah.
pretty damn on point
Yeah,
because we
that's-
had a was it the key lime goza?
Key lime, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
What was
key
the
lime.
name of that one? It's just
It was.
do you
I think we
remember?
just called it key lime goza. I think. Yeah. I don't
But
know.
that was on. No, I mean that one
Might have
was.
been. I think it might have been.
It might have
yeah.
been. That one
But
was,
it was really
on
good.
point. And you have a goza here
yeah.
tonight that we tried.
the
What's that one?
Goza Rita. Yeah.
That one.
Yep.
very, very, very citrusy.
Yeah, so our sour series is definitely going more of like the fruit heavy,
Yeah, but that
side.
was lime, and that
Yeah.
was margarita. That was
There's
super sour.
sweet orange peels in it, and then we also put lime, pure lime in it. So yeah,
Dougie Fresh and I are big sour fans, and Gozas too. I mean, we really. I will take actually. I like a Goza a lot of times more than a sour, just because
Yeah.
there's a subtlety. I like the saltiness,
I like this-
some of that
Yeah.
that really kind of mellows that out.
Yep.
But so we love to find places that have clean Gozas that
Yeah.
are really really crushable.
yeah, they're great. I mean, it's like 4.5%
Yep.
ABV.
Yeah.
There's like no IBUs. It's just they rinse right off the palate.
Yep.
They're great beers for
Didn't-
warm weather like this. Honestly,
Didn't
But
you
yeah.
also? Didn't you guys can that I read some a zero?
We were doing
A zero, just something. A zero beer.
Yeah, it was a hop water. It was a
Hop
sparkling
water.
hop water.
That's what it was.
Yeah, so this is the thing. We it's the hop water formerly known as Primo
Okay.
is what we have to call it because we can't call it what we used to call it. That's all I
Oh.
can say about that. That's still in R&D at this point. The coronavirus has affected a lot of things, and that's one thing we were going to launch
really?
this spring.
Oh, okay.
That we
I
made
saw
the choice
something
of-
on the. Did you never release it, or you were? Did it get?
we actually
released?
did it. Yeah, we did a
That's what I
release
thought,
of it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But we had to choose where we were going to focus our
Sure.
energy, and
Yeah.
and right now it's just let's survive what we're going through. But
Yeah.
that said, it's a focus, and it's going to come.
I thought it was
Yeah,
going to be
it's-
interesting because it's like because they're getting true zero beers now.
Right.
That
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
not the
Yeah.
old near beers and whatever. They actually still had alcohol in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But these ones are all zero. Like
Yeah.
I've had a few. Yeah, I've had a few non-alcoholic beers that I enjoy. Not, I'm not a huge fan of NA beers, but there's a
Right.
great place for it
Right.
in
Yeah.
life, and
Yep.
Well,
in
it
general.
allows some people
But-
to participate in something that isn't, it still gets you in that feeling, and,
Yeah.
and you're joining the crowd, but
Absolutely.
you're maintaining some control on some things,
Yeah.
or you might.
And so it's like actually do like the taste of beer. It's
Right,
really
for
So-
people who
important.
like the taste
I
of
like
beer,
the
but
taste
don't
of beer,
necessarily,
so- right.
just
That was
yeah.
our thing. We started thinking about, okay, so what do we like about beer most? And it's really that hop flavor and the hop,
Sure.
the hop,
Right.
the hop aroma, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
let's not do a non-alcoholic beer that maybe we're not 100% behind. Let's try to craft something just totally new, and it's a sparkling hop water, and it is brewed. It's not just carbonated water with
Right.
hops in it. There's actually a brewing process to it. There's no malt in it. There is
Right.
yeast, brewer's yeast. There's
Sweet.
Yeah, it's definitely
pretty
got
cool.
it's got a little body like what you'd expect with a beer
Sure.
from the recipe we use, and it's dry hopped.
I look forward to hoping to try that
That's
again.
awesome.
Just,
Yeah.
I think it's cool. Just same way brewers have gotten into, you might not fizzy lifting drinks from Red
Oh,
Ripple
yeah,
Brew
yeah.
Pub,
Yep.
the seltzers. Sorry,
Oh, yeah,
Seltzers,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm craft seltzer. They do some great stuff.
They've got a
Mullins,
place, yeah.
Mullins over at Broad Ripple Brew Pub. If you've had his fizzy lifting drinks, it was a great little refreshing. It was a great refreshing drink.
Yeah, yep. I've
And
had
if
some
you-
good ones.
And it's a nice something different to give the crowd.
Yes, definitely.
All
It's kind of that's we're still pursuing it. It's just not happened quite
Well,
yet.
that's all
So
right.
we launched that at Winterfest. That's what it was.
That's
we
what
did
it
a-
was.
We
I
did a
remember
free can
reading up.
giveaway at Winterfest. We handed out a few thousand cans out there.
Dang.
Just to kind of get it out
Get it
there,
out,
and
yeah.
ended up getting press coverage locally and nationally. And
Well,
then-
because I remember I
nice.
was reading up
Yeah.
on Winterfest since we didn't get to go this year for other reasons, but yeah, and I was like, I remember reading something about that.
yeah,
Cool.
and there's people asking every week, where is it? So we're under the gun to get it done. It's just
Well,
if you're
hey,
listening
coming.
and you're waiting
It's
on
coming.
some hop water, we're working on it.
It's coming. It'll be there.
We've all
It's gonna
got
have-
to readjust.
There's a
few
series
things.
of red tape to go through
Yeah.
because
Oh,
apparently
yeah.
you can brew alcohol till you're red in the face, but you try to make a food product.
Shouldn't
and
go water
there's
on
a-
it.
it's a
Oh, it's
whole
good. It really is.
thing, yeah.
Well, just throw a little alcohol in your non-alcoholic.
I know, yeah. So there's that, yeah.
I was just talking about Aubrey. We were watching something today, and it said there's the little, you have the warnings on there, like rated R and stuff. But it used to have like language, nudity.
Yeah.
Now it says smoking.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not smoking weed. if there's smoking
Like
cigarette.
TV,
but drinking's not on there.
No.
You can drink till you're blue in the
Yeah,
that's funny. Yeah,
If
TV
there's a
shows have a
cigarette,
smoking
if
label.
there's a cigarette involved,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
has a warning that there's a cigarette.
That's
there.
funny.
There's no
It
drinking.
is kind of funny now when you see someone smoking a cigarette.
It is.
Isn't
Yeah.
it kind of weird? You're like, you're smoking a cigarette? Like, that's still a thing?
I went up, and that's what we were talking before the show, going up northern Michigan. I was like, me and Ryan were like, my brother was like, there's a lot of people smoking up. You don't usually see that in Indiana that much anymore. It's like, wow, there's
Yeah.
a lot more people smoking.
Well,
up
you
here.
know, we hide it now because you can't just smoke anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Don't want
you
people
got
looking at
vapes
you
and
funny.
stuff, but there was cigarettes.
No, yeah, it is.
everywhere.
You're right. Yeah, it is. And
It
you know
was
what?
weird to
There's
see
nothing
people
wrong with
smoking
that.
a cigarette. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's weird.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so
Anyway.
let's man, we are going long. We just keep talking.
Yeah, this is
Ray, You've
awesome.
been awesome, man. This is great.
Hey,
We're rolling heavy on this episode. You were we although I think he's got to get out of here at some point, so we can't keep him
I'm
much
not in
longer.
a rush at all. No.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So
Well, let's
where are
talk
we
about
going
this
on
'cause-
our last
Because
one?
I'm already
So-
drinking and still.
So this is Yo. This is our Citra Yo.
Okay,
This
this is
is
what I
our
had last
hazy
time,
pale
yeah.
ale. It's all Citra hops. This was just canned on Wednesday, so 2 days ago.
To me, this is a good breakfast beer. That's I could wake up to and
Yeah.
you know
It's
you're,
got that
you're,
juiciness.
That
you're on vacation. You're up on the beach. And,
I don't know, that-
wake up to it.
Yeah. I don't know that mango one though. That was
Oh,
that's
too,
a,
but-
that's a
This-
replacement orange juice friggin' beer.
But
That's
you
my
know, I get
morning.
I get that grapefruit hop off there, that nice citrus, and it's
Yeah.
just to me this is the morning beer.
Oh, yeah, that's a great. Yeah, that
Morning
grapefruit,
beer for-
some bacon and some eggs,
Yeah,
and,
oh,
and,
yeah.
a,
Yep,
and,
yeah.
a, and a nice citrusy grapefruity beer there.
Everybody loves Citra hops. It's
Yeah.
definitely a hop that everybody's just,
Yep.
you know.
I'm gonna from me, it is. I'm a 50-50 on it.
Yeah.
Again, I have some horrible experiences with Citra hop just because they go too hard, and trying to find that balance is difficult with
Yeah.
too much of it because then it just becomes bitter and in my palate astringent at that
Okay, yeah.
point. It
Yeah.
gets very astringent at that point, and
Yep.
it's not pleasant to drink at all.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a good 50. It is for me. It's 50-50. But again, I am not a hophead.
Yeah.
And Citra is always, from what I learn and things, Citra's been that hophead
Well, it's hoppy,
core
it's
hop.
dry. It's,
It's a
yeah,
core
you're
hop
getting
for
everything.
hophead.
Yeah, it's the one that it's definitely, I would say it's the most well known
Yeah.
hop, like American style IPAs
Mhm.
or APA hop.
Yep.
But yeah, it's fun because this whole series is all different hops. So we showcase a different hop each month. The last one was Mosaic Yo. We've done numerous hops. Sabro was in there once. Yeah, it's definitely a fun series to play around with.
No, I'm upset I
The
missed the
Styrian
Mosaic.
Wolf was a
And-
fun hop that we worked
And that's
with.
neat. That's actually so. I don't remember hearing a lot of sites that take a base beer and then just rotate the hop on the base beer. They'll rotate. They'll take a base beer and then just start adding flavors to
Right.
the beer, and that's
Yeah.
their
Not the
vari
hop, yeah.
or a pepper variations or whatever. But
Yeah.
I never really heard someone take the the base beer and then just rotate the hops through
The
it.
hop is the star of the show
Which
in
it
this
sh-
series.
oh,
Yeah,
which it
it's
should
all about.
be.
Yeah, it's really dialing into what is the hop's character. I mean, there's nothing like a hazy pale ale to get the full flavor and full aroma of a hop.
Yeah.
So it's
Yep.
it's just a great way of showcasing those hops. We've been running this series for probably close to a year now, I guess. But we've done a lot of combinations. It's just a fun thing to do. We really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
This and the craft brew Doodle Crew beers that we do, which is the hazy IPA series that we do on a monthly basis.
Is this only a Citra hop, or is there anything else? Is it
This
strictly?
is just Citra. It's all Citra. It's all late.
It must be my nose. I'm still getting a little pint. I'm getting a pininess, but that might have been from the previous.
Yeah.
I think I
Or
I
maybe
always
it's
get a little
just-
of the
maybe
pininess off the
okay.
Citra. I always get
Okay.
pininess off of it, but
Maybe it's just I wasn't sure.
yeah,
so
I get that.
You're
dry
definitely going to
piney.
taste the hop,
Yeah.
the pininess from the hop for
Right,
sure. But
yeah.
that's the flavor component of it. But the Whirlpool hop edition is where you get a lot of that big flavor, And then we
Mhm.
double dry hop it, which means we're putting in a large dose of hops during primary fermentation, so right when fermentation starts, and then we're doing another dose post fermentation,
Right.
so at the end stage. So
And that's the hard part. I'm still with my allergies, I'm trying to dial in my nose as much as my nose can handle it, and but I mean, you know what
No,
I mean.
I know.
And so for me, sometimes the smells are what I'm sensing is not necessarily what really should be there. It's just a cross wire in my brain on,
Right.
So like I said, I don't know if it's meant to be piney, but I still feel like
it's piney.
little
We're
piney
definitely
tree,
getting-
tree in there. But
Yeah.
maybe citrus is supposed to have that. Again, I'm not.
Yeah, I
Since
think
I
any
can't,
citrus
since
is
I
gonna
can't
get that
grab the
pininess.
hops really and know and be able
Yeah.
to. Here's a citra hop. Okay, and here's this hop. Since I can't do that because I'll die.
Yeah.
I have to try to suss it out throughout the beers.
Yeah, definitely, and everybody's palate picks up different things
Yep.
too. So you could read a description of it's fresh cut grass with whatever
Yeah.
lemongrass or whatever and,
Horse
but your
blanket
palate's
and-
your
yeah.
palate's going to tell you what
It's
it
like,
is
that's
to
I
yourself.
get it all, and that's what I
Yeah.
love that we talk about that too. We people get different flavors off stuff, and it's your palate. You
Yeah.
can, and over the years it'll get different flavors. You can have a beer at one time and try it a year later and get something different off that.
Yep.
I mean, it's just
Well, yeah,
it's
depending
fun.
on how your own palate has changed and your,
Yeah.
the environment
Yep.
around you,
Yep.
any of the impurities in the
Yes.
water or
Time of
whatever
day,
water
what
characteristics
you ate that
do.
day. I mean, there's
Yeah.
Do you guys have so in your? I know you're saying like the Cologne water, the water from Cologne and all that stuff, but
Yeah.
do you play? Do you like try a batch of like this with a certain water profile and then try another water profile too?
That'd be definitely a question for Nick, but I know he's using we have a standard IPA
Water profile. Okay,
and he may make tweaks to it depending
Yeah.
on which
What he's
brand it
doing.
is exactly, but
Gotcha.
but yeah, we definitely have to the style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when we're brewing at home, it's in the garage, it's like water.
Yeah. Well, I did the same thing. I used to
Like,
And,
did we boil the water
Well, you have to
first?
start that way.
Yeah, it was all softened
know?
water, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this is cool. And then one thing leads
It's
to
a
the next.
natural goza. There's
Yeah.
all kinds of salt in this.
Yeah, that's a fun way to build, your experience. Just
Yeah.
start off
Oh,
easy.
yeah.
It is.
Start
yeah.
off with almost like, it's like making Kool-Aid kits, and then go to all grain, and then start messing with your water. And then you're,
Yeah, again, it gives people I think it gives people an awesome creative outlet but it's still work. I mean,
Yeah.
it's work, but
absolutely.
it can give you an awesome creative outlet
Yeah,
and a reason to bring your friends over and say, "Here, try this."
Oh yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
And I think that's why a lot of them start. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
hey man,
Well,
you guys
yeah,
want to brew
definitely.
some beer?
Yep.
Okay, sure.
Yep.
Here, try this. Oh,
Yeah.
that's all right.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
horrible, but still
Yep.
try it.
It's
Because
free.
even
Drink
when
it.
even when we made our horrible beers, it's like, here, still try this.
yeah, exactly.
What is the Doodle Crew? I've seen that.
So
up
yeah,
on
that's our artist Aaron Scamahorn. He started up the craft brew Doodle Crew
Okay.
here a few years ago. So it's a group of great artists here in Indianapolis that they're kind of like, they all know each other through the arts community and everything.
Right.
They come here once a month and
Awesome.
they do musical chairs style doodling. So they have a theme. So there's 10 artists. Hypothetically, let's say there's 10. There would be 10 themes at the table. You're going to spend 10 minutes on that theme, and then you're going to move on to the next theme. So every piece of
Oh,
art at the
cool.
table gets touched by 10 different artists over the period
Oh,
of
wow,
time.
that's cool.
And then at the end of the
Wow.
whole thing, you have these crazy illustrations that
Yeah.
have, it's weird that you can have so many great artists working on one piece, and it doesn't look like a bunch of different artists on one piece. They
Yeah.
actually look cohesive, like it was planned out almost. But it's
That is
it's totally
very cool.
just
yeah.
totally they're fun. The next one we have
so
coming out
so
is
it's like the improv show, like what's your line, or
Yeah, yeah.
but with pencils.
It's literally they're sitting down and doodling and go on to the next one. So you'll go from a theme
Sweet.
like Too Many Arms to Werewolf Diner to Earthworm War is the theme of one of them.
That is really
The
cool.
next one we have
man.
coming up is Cloud Creatures. So it's all things that you would see in the clouds. So
Right
really
away,
cool.
I had a picture of
Oh no, we probably don't want to hear
shut
this.
up. No, the old Captain. Well, not Captain Kirk. What the hell's his name?
Captain Crunch.
Captain Kirk in the plane. Well, no, in the plane with the monster on the wing. You know, the
Oh,
old,
yeah.
the old.
Yeah.
Was that Twilight Zone?
Twilight Zone. Yeah.
Yeah, the old Twilight Zone episode. Immediately, you said cloud creatures, and I'm like, there's a creature in a cloud on the plane.
on the plane. We'll start contacting you for our creative direction.
That's not what he
No,
meant
you
at
don't
all.
want that at all. No, you don't want that at all. No, it won't happen.
But yeah, it's fun. It's really cool to have those great artists here too, and they do
Yeah.
really. I mean, they're doing big things around the city and in their
Awesome.
own professional
Yeah.
world, and then they make time in their schedules to come in here and
That's
doodle together.
amazing.
Yeah.
So we're getting ready to close up. I just want to I want to make a remark about the building and,
Yeah.
and some of the research we did on this. So this actually, and dear to our hearts on anti-prohibition, because that was
Yep.
just the stupidest time in the world.
Yeah.
This was originally back in the 1800s. I think the late 1800s.
Yeah, it started in the late 1800s. And
This was, and
the,
it was actually called, and you don't think about it back then, but it was called the Home Brew Company.
Yeah, the Home Brewing Company.
Yeah, the Home Brewing Company.
Yes.
That's what it was.
Awesome.
And this has been a brew house for 100 years.
This was part of a bigger brewing facility.
When did you find that out?
So this is crazy. So yeah, the name.
You didn't know that when you bought the place,
no,
right?
The name of the home brewing company being home brewing and being home brewers and all that stuff was pretty cool. There's a lot of weird stuff that happened like that, but it's just really, it's like serendipity almost. I mean, we came into the space.
I mean, come on.
We fell in love with it. We signed a lease, and then we're like, I love that it said bottling house out there. I don't know why I thought it was like a Coca-Cola bottling building or something. Because you see those all over the place.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, there's no indication that it was a brewery. It just says 1904.
Well,
you
didn't think back then. All you thought was, bootlegging or something. Maybe, but you didn't think craft brew back then.
We had. It wasn't very long after we put out our. We put out a post actually on our Kickstarter campaign that we had leased the building. First big step, we had leased the building. And then historians start reaching out to us, and they're like, "You won't believe the history of that space." And
that's awesome, man.
And then,
that's cool.
So even before the Kickstarter campaign, I designed our logo. It was kind of it has a component that we currently use, the torch icon that we have in our logo.
Yep.
That I designed that back in 2012, actually, just when I was putting the business plan together, and to find out that the home brewing company also used the torch in their logo.
What?
We have their letterhead in here that has the same torch.
Oh, you found some shit. You found some of their old letterheads.
Yeah,
still? Even after 100 years.
We've got all kinds of
and various owners.
There are collectors out there that bring us things just to show us.
Because this was other companies for years too, right?
Yeah.
You're still finding stuff from homebrew company.
We've got bottles that have their torch emblems on them. We've got
cool,
all kinds of stuff.
Man, that's awesome.
It's not just the
torch. Do you have a museum here anywhere? You guys have a museum of things?
We've actually had collectors tell us that they wanted to set up a museum in here, but we haven't done that. We need all of the space we can get.
Yeah.
But yeah, the flames in our logo actually blow the same direction as the flames on the home brewing company logo. So it's
cool,
it's
man.
just
awesome.
strange things.
I mean, come on, you got to see Kismet on that or whatever you want to call it. I mean, that's karma. I don't know. That's pretty freaking awesome.
It was pretty cool. Yeah.
I mean, completely. And again, you didn't research the building at all.
We didn't know the
about that.
history of it until we were actually at the table to sign the
And
lease
you
on
almost
it,
signed. You were trying to get the other one across the street, and then imagine, it was like, wow.
Yeah.
Again, that's just freaking awesome.
Yeah, it just seemed to work out really well for us. It's a great building. It's built in 1904. This was the bottling house building for the home brewing company.
Right.
They had a huge building across the street where all the beer was brewed, and still in our cellar today you can see where the tanks stood. They actually sat on the earth in the cellar and extended up through the main level. You can see all where the holes used to be cut out in the floor above and everything.
That's cool.
But this building, it's just great. I mean, it's the whole second story is built like
a second story.
Yeah, yes. There's a whole second story up there, and that's where they inventoried packaged bottled beer. So it's 6-inch wood, old hardwood. Floor, those massive wood beams that you see above us are what support it, with steel underneath that. So it's made to handle a tremendous load up there. Because that's where they kept all the packaged beer.
Now, do you have plans for the future in there?
Hey, we'd love to grow into it. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful space.
Yeah.
It is there's not a single wall in there, just the 4 walls that around its perimeter.
Building,
so it's an open room. Awesome. It's 7,000 square foot of just open space.
Oh wow.
That we'd love to definitely grow into.
Goodness.
But it's going to take a substantial.
The current climate, yes, and the current climate.
Let's get back to normal now.
But before
we start worrying about
we definitely, it's in our plans to eventually.
But I mean, I was reading more on the home brewing company. I mean, they got they ended up having to close. I think in I had the year, but a few years after Prohibition started, because everybody did. They tried the root beers and the
near beers and
everything. That just it's hard to keep open for much longer if it doesn't come back. And that was such a long, horribly stupid extended time.
It was.
I mean, just even what we're going through, if you think about it.
Yeah, we're complaining about a couple of months.
Yeah, it is a blip in the kind of lockdowns that people put on this country
Yeah.
just because of, you know, what a horror. I mean, I read more and more, and I watch the shows, and the Prohibition time was just a lot of bullshit.
We're coming back. What do we have coming on? I mean, we're starting to roll around back now. We're coming back to life, and you know,
definitely. Yeah, it's definitely coming back.
You got to get down to Indiana City, and
everybody get down here. I mean, it's been a great. Well, get to all your local craft beer places as well.
Absolutely.
But Indiana City doing great stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we're opening back up. Do what you can to support your local people.
It feels good to be open again. We're doing everything we can to be safe. You know, we've got our expanded outdoor patio now. We actually just took over a bunch of the parking spaces in our parking lot and put tables out there with barrels and umbrellas and all that.
I think I saw the Indy Brew Bus out there. Hop on the Indy Brew Bus.
Are they
Indy running?
Brew Bus.
I guess they're running again.
They're back again, yeah, and they've been looking forward to getting going again too. So
and you
definitely
can still use
them.
this for an event space.
We're still doing private events in here. We're limited to capacity, but we've been we're up and running as best we can right now, and hopefully this thing, who knows what the future holds, but we're optimistic. We're hopeful. Yeah, so
with the community makes you hopeful.
Yeah.
You know, the support we've all had through all of this, that, you know, we've lost a few breweries, you know, through it, a couple, but so far it's been okay, and hopefully if we open up back enough, everybody is able to get back up enough to keep moving again, and we don't lose any more of our brethren, you know, in the industry.
I think those are the great products and great beer like we've had here today. I mean, it does, you know, it speaks volumes where, you know, if you make a good product, you can keep going and. We wish you continued success, sir, and hopeful good reopening, and we really appreciate it. And sorry we didn't get in here sooner because we're dumb.
Glad to have you guys. It's cool. You picked a nice warm day to come over and chill.
It's still been a great experience. It's warm. I don't care. It's been an awesome experience.
For the beer
and the history of this place is freaking
awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
We love it.
Yep.
I want to research more and hopefully I can come back next time and maybe get like a tour of maybe some of the areas and the cool like old school areas. It'd be great to do.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
Sweet.
Awesome.
So guys, cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
And we'll see you again.
Yep.
Touch my head again. Don't try, honey, I won't try just to hold it down again. Hold it down again. I can tell that you care. I can feel the true glare of a lady in love somewhere. Touch my head.